This is going to be for Metal Journal. This is an online digital newspaper for all the Spanish-speaking fans, hard rock, heavy metal, and different kind of styles. So first,
which is me.
Which is you, of course. First, Nomad is the new album. You can be considered yourself a nomad because you have, after living in different countries and touring the world many times, you have lived in Denmark, Spain, Australia, America, lots of times. And what place could you call home?
Oh yeah. I think I call my music home.
Right.
This was never a plan. I never planned this. It's just that when you look back on your life, you realize that you fall into that category because it just becomes natural. I made another statement saying, rock and roll ain't no fashion, it's a way of life. And even when I wake up in the morning, even if I don't play guitar or even if I don't wear a leather jacket or something like that, the way I see the world is through, rock and roll. And, it's like rock and roll is my religion and, my philosophy. And, it's just a way of looking at things, that it comes up. And to me, Nomad, it has a lot to do with whenever I feel that changes are needed, I move on.
Okay. I reckon with this album you complete a trilogy. You started with Cobblestone Street back in 2013.
2012. It came out in 13.
And Museum last year. So how could you define this trilogy you have done in between really long tours? Because you have been playing a lot and you have done 3 records in a couple of years.
Yeah.
How had you done it? How could you define this trilogy for your fans?
Well, again, when I went in to record Cobblestone Street, I didn't know that was going to happen. But it gave me instantly a sign of something that I wanted complete. And it was really explore my songwriting to the maximum. Mm-hmm. And also test how far I wanted to go. Because sometimes you go into a recording studio and you have an idea and you record the songs and then stuff happens along the way. Mm-hmm. And when I started writing or recording Cobblestone Street, I wasn't planning on recording an album. And I came into the studio, my partner and the co-producer said, why don't you just go in and play the song the way you write them? And instead of saying, okay, now let's bring the band in and stuff like that. And after I'd recorded Cobblestone Street, we sat there and listened and we looked at each other as the song is finished. And to me, it was the complete return to back home. Not just of the 3 albums recorded in Copenhagen, Denmark, right in the neighborhood where I was born. But they so represent the songwriting style of Mike Tramp. And this is the toughest battle. Because you can't categorize Mike Tramp as metal or hard rock. You just need to categorize it as Mike Tramp.
Of course.
You'll hear some of the the White Lion songs tonight in a little bit of a different way, but still very recognizable. And a lot of them, those versions was the way I wrote the beginning of those songs before Vito and I would sit down. So all my songwriting comes from the same place. It's just that the final result, if it's in White Lion, ends up sounding like White Lion.
Yeah.
And in White Lion, Mike Tramp was anywhere between 25 years old and 30 years old, and I sounded different. In Freak of Nature, it became a different sound, and it was me still growing. So instead of me going into a store and buying a new t-shirt and getting a new haircut and saying, I'm in a new band, I simply followed the way my body and voice were changing and how my musical heart felt. And but with Freak of Nature, that was a band songwriting. So that came from another thing.
Yeah.
So to me, when I go in and then complete a trilogy, it's basically just telling myself, you've always been the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other details you can give me about this new album? Any difference if we compare it with the previous both records?
Well, yeah, definitely, because the final album is full band from first song to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so already it's a full band album. But at the same time, it's taking the songs that are written in the same way that I've written from the other ones, and just adding the band. And in a very simple way, the band is captured live in the studio. The whole album from the band side, not all the vocals, are recorded in one day. The whole band is recorded, all 10 songs in one day.
In one day?
In one day. And I wanted
the vocals, only the instrumental.
Most of but because we're really prepared. The band sound doesn't change on any 10 songs. It's just that the songs changes.
Oh my God.
You know.
Yeah, even Black Sabbath couldn't do it with the first record.
No, I don't know, but you also we weren't going to experiment. I knew this is what I'm talking about. Or just believing in yourself. You just want that, and you don't want to prove anything else but who you are.
Yeah.
And of course, there's people that don't agree with, and that's fine, because I'm not Halloween, I'm not Wasp, I'm not Whitesnake, I'm Mike Tramp. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like coming into like a cafe,
Yeah.
And you say, I feel like having something different today. Every day I have a cafe con leche, a cafe au lait. Today I'm going to have manzanilla.
How long is it, and how many tracks? 10 tracks and
classic.
40 minutes.
I grew up on 10 songs albums, and that's the way it should be.
Me too. I like that.
Yeah, like 45 minutes, 46 minutes.
All right. Touring completely alone with your guitar makes you feel yourself more free than ever, and I don't know if you miss the ups and downs of touring with a proper band.
Oh, I get to feel that now.
Because you're playing tonight alone, or
no, with the full band.
With the full band.
Yeah.
Oh, you're playing. This is a different tour.
Yeah, it's a different tour.
Okay.
This tour just started 2 days ago.
So it's going to be electric also?
It's full electric.
Full electric? Didn't know that. Sorry for that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's all part of it. On the new on this tour, the support band is also my band.
They're called
Loser.
Yeah.
Okay. Good young band from Denmark.
Wow. For me, it's really, really great. I didn't expect that. Okay, but coming back to the question, your previous solo tours.
For the last 4 years.
Did you miss the
Solamente guitarra and voz.
And how did you feel yourself? Really free to do what you want, or how did you miss the discussions, or even the arguments with the rest of the guys?
I understand. You're completely right. Because even though this might be a little too early to say it, I already know now that even though I'm doing this tour, and I will do some other shows with band, that the future of Mike Tramp will be a complete solo artist. It is up here, it's here, it's just that I almost don't have the energy, and when I'm by myself, it's almost, I can control my own mood. I can go away, I can be quiet, I can do this. The second it's a band, there's so much else stuff going on. And that's one of the reasons why I started with Cobblestone Street. And, we'll see.
Okay.
Now we're touring, most of Europe, not everywhere, but we're touring till like the first week of October. 25 shows. And then, we go from there.
No deals with Spain at the moment. No news at the moment with Spain. I have seen.
It's not possible right now to bring the full band down to Spain. I have to make it different because we had to do it in steps. That would mean that I would have to play France and Italy, which is I'm trying to do on the way down, because that's like 2,000 kilometers from Denmark just to get down to Bilbao.
You're playing the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, something like that. All right.
Yeah, and Paris.
Okay. Paris.
And southern Germany, 2 shows down there. Yeah.
All right. This is my first interview with you. I would like to ask you some questions about the past. You can imagine that.
No problem.
You can tell me what you want. Totally free. What you want, you can tell me. You started being a musician when you were a kid. Right, a kid. Do you think? I don't know. Do you think it was too early? Do you think you were ready at the time? Did you miss some of the normal things other kids did at the time, playing with their friends or something like that? Do you think it's difficult to be a musician when you're a kid?
Well, yeah, of course it is. Let's compare it to like a football player who commits his life already at age 15 to a club. Today they commit their life when they're 9.
Yeah.
In Spain, you got, soccer schools, Barcelona and Madrid and stuff like that, you go to school and stuff like that. I came into my first band, El Grupo Mabel, already at 15 and a half years old. Left school, not thinking anything. Had no idea what the world I went into. And now that of course it's too late now, next year I have 40th anniversary, Looking back, of course. But back then, I couldn't have done both. Today I can do both. I couldn't have been a 16-year-old kid playing in a band and running around in my neighborhood. It didn't work at that time.
Okay. You even played the Eurovision contest with Mabel back in '78, I reckon.
Talk about mistakes.
Do you consider a mistake? Or
Well, it's one of those learning mistakes that all that stuff that I tried is what became my warning signs in the future. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need to do stuff like that.
But why do you consider it a mistake?
Well, just because the plan for the band was to go the road of a rock band.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this thing happened. And some guy from the record company came in and said, maybe it'd be a good idea this. And from the second we won the Danish one, we became so popular in Denmark that it turned in the end that people decided, too much. And then we moved to Spain.
But about just the day of playing there in Eurovision contest,
yeah,
do you have a good remembrance or nothing?
It's the first time you do something, so you have no idea what to expect.
So you don't have good recollections from that day?
Oh, it's okay. I just felt that I didn't belong there.
And what about Spain? What did you find there?
Yeah.
Did you turn into a more rocking staff? In
Spain became the time because the guys in the band were 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to Spain in '79, this is when my Tramp starts growing fast. Start writing all the songs, and bit by bit, I start changing the band to be a dedicated rock band, and slowly work on something that became a very, very early version of how I would write songs in White Lion.
And that band was Stutz?
Well, it was called El Grupo Mabel, and then I said to the record company, I don't want to do this anymore. He says, we'll just finish the band, and you start a new band. And it's the same band, we just call them different. And we look different and stuff like that. But it was all a step to come to America.
And but the album you recorded as Stutz, it was in Spain?
Yeah, I was recording in Madrid.
In Madrid? You lived in Madrid?
Yeah, we lived in Madrid, yeah.
You still have friends of that time from
Yeah. I meet many people. From time to time when I come over around and stuff like that.
And after Stutz, I reckon you became the Danish Lions or something like that when you were to America?
That's when we arrived in New York. It was the same band. I just said, because, the name Stutz, I had read in Metal Make or New Musical Express about the new wave of British heavy metal. And so all the things on the leather jackets.
Yes, that's
and I did the cover like this, like two German handwriting.
I got the
It was really metal. And then Van Halen came to Spain to do only promotion.
Really?
Okay, we have the same record company.
It was Atlantic.
Yeah, but it was called Hispavox in Spain, okay? Stuff like that. And it says, this is my favorite band at that time. I says, I need to meet them. And they says, now you speak a little bit of Spanish, you go around with them for the 3 days they're there. So we were there. They were there, and not a lot of people knew them, so they only did some radio, TV shows, and they did Applauso on TV and so on. So then I came to David Lee Roth and I gave him the album. I says, man, my dream is to come play in America. What do you think I needed? And he looked at the album and says, Stutz. You can't call yourself Stutz. They'll think you're the New Village People. Because, of course, in America, Stutz is like Chippendales. He's Stutz. And I was like, I went home and we had 5,000 records.
Wow. how did you adapt yourself to America's way of life back in the beginning of the 80s when you
I prepared. Before I even left Madrid, I prepared. I had a lot of friends on the American Navy base, Air Force base in Torrejon, outside Madrid, and everywhere I could hear American. I read American books because I knew the day I would arrive in New York, I wanted to be American. I didn't want to be a tourist. I wanted to know everything that there was, like it was natural to me, and it's been ever since. Everything in America to me is the most natural thing.
Okay. And what do you remember of the foundation of White Lion in New York?
Well, already at the end of '82, I played in a club in Brooklyn with the Danish Lions. And another band was in the dressing room called Dreamer, and there was a guitar player, sitting like this, and I was watching him play. I was like, and I looked at the four Scandinavian guys, clean, and really, I says, oh man, that's a guy I need. And it's just, I said, that's what I need. So short after we broke up, and we went back home, and I came back to America right away. And Vito, I'd gotten his phone number, was the first one I called, and we started the band that day.
Nowadays, you are a really down-to-earth person, as we are watching right now, but you became one of the biggest hard rock stars back in the 80s, and still you are. It's difficult to be a rock star.
Yes, it is, because I'm not very good at it. Because this is who I am. Okay, so if I'm there with Gene Simmons, and I'm there with all these guys, Paul Stan, who will never tell you the truth. I'll tell you straight my truth, because I don't want to wake up tomorrow saying, what did I say yesterday? It's just who I am. But it has taken time to relax and just trust in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. When I says, I'm a kid. I'm a kid from Copenhagen, Denmark. The streets of Copenhagen. And once I got my control, I already started getting control of myself in the beginning of Freak of Nature, because I took the band down. Excuse me. And that became about that I want to get away from that big thing that White Line had been. Even though White Line had never been anything in its image like Poison or some of those other LA bands. White Line were many ways we were kids from Brooklyn. I was from Denmark, but we were pretty accessible. But I was just much more comfortable with not having to pretend. But in the beginning of the 80s, you had to make the interview like a show. And I just wanted to, it's almost like people weren't interested in hearing a serious story. So they wanted that David Roth thing, like everything was like extravaganza, stuff like that. It can't be that. It's not who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm the one driving the van bus. I'm the one, it's just like, every night after the show, I go straight out in the audience and sign CDs. It's a lot of work. I'm like, but it's the way it is.
Okay.
So, in many ways, it's also why there will never be any reunion of either two bands. And when I said that first time to people, they don't understand, most of them. But then I have to go in and say, I can't be Mike Tramp in 1988. I cannot be that guy. Singing or anything like that. And I don't want to. And also, I cannot be the way I was in Freak of Nature. I'm 25 years older. I know there's a lot of bands that put makeup on and they go out and they got fire. And they tell themselves that they sound the same. That's not me. I want to my music, and as like I grow older and stuff like that, I want it to follow. Like you see me, you come see me in 10 years, and maybe I sit down, and the stories I tell will be stories you relate to. I'm not going to go up and talk about girls or write songs about, oh man, I saw hot looking girls, I'm going to take her back to the hotel room. I've never done that.
You're not in Samuel.
No. David Coverdale.
There we go. Okay. You had a lot of highlights during those years with White Lions. What are those special highlights for you? I don't know, maybe songwriting or those.
Well, the climb, not the success, but the building of it. It's like when Vito and I wrote the first song was Broken Heart. When you start seeing, wow, that's how we sound. And then every time, you saw something completed, it became incredible special.
Mm-hmm.
And many people would think it's when you stand there with the gold record or the platinum record and when you drive away from the show in a limousine. And to many people, that's a highlight. To me, the highlight is all the special moment that the band had together when we were the band, Because, when we recorded Pride, I don't need to say Fight to Survive, because Pride is when we become White Lion. And when we recorded Big Game, there's two different bands. When we recorded Pride, we were brothers. When we recorded Big Game, we were millionaires who showed up in the studio,
No longer brothers.
No, not working, buying another motorcycle, driving another car, and going in there saying it's got to be bigger than ever. Not thinking.
And when you recorded Main Attraction?
That Main Attraction almost for Vito and I became almost like a rescue mission in our minds. That now we want to concentrate. But it was not the band. It was not a band. It was Vito and me writing the songs and then rehearsing them with James and Greg.
Mm-hmm. Because you made one of the best hard rock songwriting team with Vito. I know Vito's unique case when he disappeared for a lot of years. I know you had even legal problems with his representatives. But when you look back now, how do you see the team talking about the songwriting only, not a relation? How do you see that team?
Well, that's the only thing there was. When I was sitting with Vito and writing songs and we spoke the language of music, we were 100% the same person. Outside that, as soon as it was over, we were heaven and hell. It's like we'd never be, we wouldn't be finishing writing the song and says, let's go have a cafe or something like that. We've never been to movies together. We've never gone out to dinner together. But we wrote big rock songs that will live forever.
And have you ever missed that writing partner?
No.
Only for writing, no?
No. I haven't missed that at all because that was that time and I wouldn't want to write songs like that today. Today my songs are more a continuation of who you are. I don't sit down and think, as soon as I put the guitar in my hand, it's like a song just appears. And I don't have a contract line from a record company that says we need 10 songs by that time. Whenever I went in and recorded those 3 albums of the trilogy, I didn't have a record deal before the album was done, and then I gave it to the record company. So I'm in control of my own Bambino all through the thing. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different thing because then you don't ever think about anything but the song. You don't think of radio, you don't think about MTV. Those days are gone, Yeah. You think about that this is how I want people to see me.
Mm-hmm.
Remember me.
Total control of your career, right?
Yeah.
Freak of Nature in the 90s was a way you entered the 90s without copying White Lion. It was I don't know if a very courageous decision or a risky decision, I don't know. Do you think you deserved a bigger success back in the 90s?
No, but there's no doubt about it. It was a personal decision. It was more about rescuing my Tramp in falling back in love with rock and roll. And because all that was gone in White Lion, it was like, it wasn't a band anymore. Mm-hmm. So I still was totally in love with rock and roll. And I wanted to feel how it really felt again. So that band was never about success. It was more about being true to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. And you were. Mm-hmm.
And it worked. Yes, it worked for that one. But there's an interesting thing which most people don't understand is that because the band became so special to me and the highlight of my career when it comes to how I felt in my heart. When I saw already on the second album the band falling apart a little bit on the outside, I says, "You're my brothers. I want to keep the memories of the best time in my life. Let's finish it."
You have the previous experience of White Lion.
This band was not going to be a new guitar player, a new drummer, next album, another bass player. That was never going to happen. So Freak of Nature is to me the perfect thing that never got to ruin itself. We stopped while it was perfect.
And do you still have the contact with them?
Yeah, they're my best friends. And even though there's a part of me that would love to go out and do a tour with them and do something, I don't think I can. In my physical and what it requires. So then I say, let's just keep the memories.
Because in regard of White Lion, I reckon you still have contact with James.
Yeah, James is a very good friend of mine, always been, still is.
How you follow his career with Megadeth?
Of course I do. He's been in every band there exists.
Okay.
He's a true musical nomad. But he's a good musician, and I think he enjoys just playing with a lot of people.
Different styles and
exactly. For a bass player that really gets to try a lot of stuff, he never really fitted into an 80s band. He was much more like Jack Bruce or John Entwistle or something that really wanted to play, and Vito was like, no, you have to play. No.
We go back to the time you tried to recover White Lion and you released Return of the Pride. What do you think now? Do you consider it a learning mistake? Like
yes, I do.
Me before?
Yeah. But it's you know what? It's almost like something you do on purpose. It's a bad excuse because I didn't. But if I hadn't tried it, I would still be sitting here today thinking every time you would ask that question, what about? They would go in there. But right after I started doing it, even though if it lasted, like 1 or 2 years more, just some tours, I never reached that moment where I came off stage and says, fuck, yeah, this is great. It was a battle in here. I said goodbye to that band, my band, in 91. And that's the way it is.
So it's something you needed to do.
So after the first 3 solo albums, I was sitting in on a train between some shows in France with a promoter and my manager who never did anything good for me. And they said, last night I just played for 15 people and tomorrow I'll play for 25 people. And I said, you could be playing for 25,000 fans. And you could get paid $25,000 instead of $100. So, and then I go, yeah, well, it's my band, it's my songs, etc., etc. And then I put a band together of people I know and people I like. But the first thing I do is I change the sound of the band. It's called, even though it's called Tramp's White Lion, I want it to sound more like Thin Lizzy or UFO than White Lion. And so it's just instantly showing myself, you don't want to go there. And Return of the Pride is a great album. You just can't call it White Lion because it isn't.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, you all have to do. Even Mozart and Beethoven had their dark albums.
Might be something like a learning mistake, but you needed to do it. To know that.
I think that I had to write songs like Battle of Little Big Horn and Sangre de Cristo and big epics that I cannot write today because they were in me, and I'm proud of that album. It just cannot go under the White Lion banner.
Just a couple of questions
and
more.
Vito also thought so.
Yeah. just a couple of questions to finish the interview. You wrote hymn to Ronnie back in
2010. Yeah.
5 years ago. I reckon you had toured with him at least in the 90s with Freak of Nature.
Yes, that's
I don't know
correct.
if maybe you played with him in the 80s, back in the 80s, I don't know. How do you remember Ronnie James Dio?
Well, I mean, Ronnie James Dio, to me, is the foundation of that big part of rock and roll that happened after the 70s. I think his influence, even though you might not hear it in a lot of bands, is just, it's like he was the father of it all, without adding the age. He just has such an impact on bands and styles. Of course, I discovered Ronnie and Rainbow already in '76 with El Grupo Mabel, because we were going to open up for them. In '76, Rainbow in '70, Rainbow is just starting. And I'm just kidding. I'm only 16 years old. And we're sitting there at the concert arena because they got a call. We need a band for tonight. We're in Copenhagen. And we're sitting like this. We can't open up for them. We're like Bay City Rollers. We're like Pecos.
But you opened for them.
No, we didn't. We said, no, we can't. But I was watching Ronnie. I says, holy shit.
It was a rising tour, I can imagine.
You know your stuff. And from that day on, like I write in the song, the path was laid. I follow Ronnie. Ronnie's not I don't sing like Ronnie. I don't write songs like Ronnie. But it's almost like he's there, like Moses parting the ocean for everyone and guiding it through. Some things he's done along the way. And then, before we played with Ronnie, many times we did Children of the Night, which was Ronnie's foundation in LA, once a year for homeless kids and stuff. They got a lot of bands come together and play. And then when we played with Ronnie, especially, and actually we played Bilbao with Ronnie in '93 in San Sebastian. Yeah, I know.
I should remember it. I have problems with my memory. Because the times have changed, and this was Freak of Nature, we got a lot of time to talk with Ronnie. Because it wasn't like it wasn't in America, it wasn't the crazy backstage. It was Europe, it was just a few people down. So, you got that. And Freak of Nature was at that time when we were like, we want to get into the rock. We were musicians, And it was just like watching Ronnie, he's like, God, didn't say a lot. And then he hit the stage. I was like, yeah. And it's just the way it was. And, when I wrote him for Ronnie, I wanted that song to be the opposite of what all the other bands would do for Ronnie. They all were... I wanted to write a song that when you listen, you follow through his life. By the way, it's a fantastic song. I don't know if you're playing tonight.
No.
You have been playing it with...
I play it all the time when I play solo.
Oh my God, what a pity.
Who knows?
I expected it. You have some, if I'm not wrong, you have some of your idols even tattooed on your body. For example, I reckon Phil Lynott.
Yeah, well, Phil's right here.
Phil's over there. I don't know, you have Bob Dylan. Oh, I'm Bruce Springsteen. Okay, so I was right.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Oh my God, didn't know that.
A lot of people would expect me to have Vince Neil and Sebastian Bach and stuff like that.
No. They don't know a lot about hard rock.
They don't know a lot about my trans influence. But see, I mean, besides Springsteen, which came a little later on, I grew up with Bob Dylan in my house, early age. And Bob Dylan is, the folk music in Denmark in early 70s. Is my roots. Mm-hmm. And of course when you see 1988 and you see Vince Neil, Bret Michaels, you see Mike Tramp, you see Tom Kiefer, you see all those things, and you have that big 80s sound, it's tough to say, oh, look at Mike Tramp with the big blonde hair, he's inspired by Bob Dylan. You don't see that.
No.
But when you go back, that's where my songs come from.
Were your parents into music?
Well, I only had my mom. But my mom would play Elvis and Bob Dylan and Roy Orbison to wake us up.
At radio or record?
On the turntable. Yeah. And my music teacher, the only thing he ever taught me, knocking on heaven's door. Nothing else. He says, there is all you need. Go out to the world now.
And what do Bruce or Phil mean in your life, in your musical foundation?
Well, I mean, one thing is obviously, and see, that's also the thing about Thin Lizzy or Phil Lynott. When everybody goes, Phil Lynott, Thin Lizzy, it's his songs. When you hear Phil Lynott, go back to Ben, you hear the sense of Ireland, you hear Van Morrison, you hear Bob Dylan, you hear that stuff. That is the thing that I connect with Phil. His songwriting, his lyrics, his pronunciations. It's the same with these three. They're all the greatest lyricists. Mm-hmm. We never went up there and wrote a cheesy song.
Not at all.
It's just the way it is. And there is just a similarity of a complete trust in who they are. Mm-hmm. And they, it's like they just are them. Dylan almost hit it right from the start. I needed 30 years. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I needed 30 years to understand that what I learned in the beginning was who I was. And how I grew up is who I am. Mm-hmm. On my journey, I've worn a lot of different hats and different haircuts and stuff like that. But inside, in the hotel, when I was sitting with my guitar, it's the same thing as when I was 13 years old, sitting in Copenhagen, playing "That's Alright, Mama," and not saying, I don't ever want to be anything else. So when we come back to the same thing, is like you go in to the coffee shop or a little restaurant, and you look at all, and everybody orders almost the same thing and stuff like that. And then you say, no, you know what? Tonight I'm going to have something very different, very different. And they say, yeah, I'm going to have Angolas. And it's so different.
Totally.
And that's what I want to be. Within the rock world, I want it to be the alternative when you feel like that. They're like that to me. Some days I'll listen to Queen all day. Some days I'll listen to Lizzy, Rainbow, UFO, Black Sabbath, whatever. And then and then some days I just put Dylan on 24 hours of just old boot. And what it is, it's for the soul. Mm-hmm. And I understand it doesn't always fit in to the big. Vince Neil and Tommy Lee, they'll just smash our hotel room and do something like that. I'm just different. I'm me.
Did you have the chance to see in Tenerife live?
In Madrid.
In Madrid, 83, right?
81.
81 days.
Renegade.
I was 7 at the time. Renegade, wow. Fantastic experience, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But actually the experience to me is actually his life. Mm-hmm. And his music. Mm-hmm. Because watching up there, they were already the different Thin Lizzy, that I'm Johnny the Fox. I'm, bad reputation. I'm nightlife. Mm-hmm. I'm where Thin Lizzy has not crossed in to the new modern sound. It's like Thin Lizzy to me is almost like the Allman Brothers of England. There's that warm sound. It never becomes Judas Priest. It never becomes, it was like, and then, of course, Leonard is so much Hendrix.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you have mentioned some of the hard rock icons of this 80s, for example, Vince Neil.
Oh, that's just jokes,
Yeah, no, but Bret Michaels. Do you consider any of them friends? Did you?
Yeah, no, I mean, they don't send me birthday cards.
No.
The reason why I say it, and sometimes I joke around on stage, but now we're at different times. It's okay. Yeah. I never say they're shit. I never say that kind of. But what I've noticed in some of these people that I met in America, some of my friends, a lot of them wanted to become rock stars. It was like, they really want to become rock stars and live that life. I didn't. It's almost like I wanted to become a roadie. It's like, it's the other side that I became a good songwriter, and now an honest person is a different story. But that's just where I see the difference. That, and I'm happy that I am here right now, because it's easier to deal with that. The music business has almost nothing left. You're selling 10% of physical albums today. The rest is downloaded.
Or even less, yeah. In
the big picture,
yeah.
Not for rock artists, because nobody almost sells a lot. So, when I was a young kid, I walk down the street of my neighborhood and stuff, and I see a painter sitting in a basement with a window, and he's sitting in there, and I go, wow, that's a really nice painting. And I knock on the door, and he's like, hey. And I says, that's a nice painting. How much for the painting? He says, oh, that's not for sale. I says, what do you mean it's not for sale? Why you sit and paint? He says, because I love painting. And it just takes so many years to find out that I write the songs because they come out. I don't write the songs that go, oh, okay, I'm going to make a lot of money on this song. Because I can't think that way, and it's not going to be possible anyway. But the feeling of then writing a song and go out and playing the song and seeing people feeling good, even if it's When the Children Cry. The songs are written for the same reason. I wrote When the Children Cry in '85, when Ronald Reagan was the president of America. And the whole world was America was very strong, superpower. But I'm sitting there apologizing to the children of the next generation of the mess that we're going to leave for them. It's almost like Nostradamus' vision,
Sadly, you were right.
But it's just an honest feeling. I'm not thinking about, I'm going to write something like that. It just come. Little Fighter, it just came. Cry for Freedom. These songs, Lady of the Valley, a lot of these songs. And at that early stage, my Tramp started going away from the rock icons. And this is where you hear today in the fans that have stayed around that are almost the same age as I am. They don't want me to come out and sing about sex. They're grown like me. They're fathers. They're husbands. They're standing there and they hear the life in my lyrics. And I'm happy that I ended up going that way. But that's because I'm European. I was raised knowing the world is a big place. Some of those rock icons in America, they're like, America.